My name is Burt Reno, and I help operate our family's ranch in northeast Wyoming. We've been using CattlActive for about 6 years. We have a cow-calf program where we wean all of our calves off at about 6 months of age. It's usually the first week in November or so. They're weaned out onto pasture where they're supplemented with cake and hay and lick tubs or liquid feed depending on the year. The benefits from CattlActive have just proven themselves to us time and time again, because the day we wean those calves, you turn them out of the corral, we were really used to watching those calves stand around and bawl and be hungry and wonder where mom is, and to us it's completely noticeable when they walk out and they start looking for feed and they start looking for water, and the only ones really bawling around the corrals are the mamas. You can see those calves wander off and go lay down and relax, and to us that's really important because they're not pacing, losing weight and jeopardizing their health by not eating and drinking. So for us it's rewarding to watch those calves wean that easy. We use it in the springtime when we're calving for anything that I tag, like especially our heifers calves. I usually give those calves like a 5 cc dose. And mostly that's just trying to get a little peace of mind. Every time I've done it, those bunches of calves that get the CattlActive, that early dose before they're ever sick, they don't tend to be as prone to the scours. And that's pretty nice to see. It seems like it really helps clean them out on the inside. Maybe it gets those bugs working in their guts sooner, but I really use it a lot for that reason. I don't want to get myself into a scour wreck. You generally don't do the cows' calves because they're a pretty big bunch and they're out in some pretty big hills, and I don't usually give them ear tags so they don't get the dose. But when I'm pairing them out, if I see calves that look a little loose in the hind end and I can get a rope on them, I'll go ahead and I'll give them a 10 cc dose, and I've marked them, like earmarked them, and I've seen where they get fixed right back up. And I know they're back on feed too. The other thing I do is I use it on my heifers that we've weaned, because it's usually January. We'll run those heifers in and bangs vaccinate them, and I'll give them a 10 cc dose for that vaccination as well, just because it's a stressful one, and I have seen a lot of calves be sore from that one the day after. And so I just like to have it be a part of the protocol, basically, if I'm running them through the chute. The first year that I used CattlActive, we had weaned our calves off, and within about 4 to 6 weeks time, we had found ourselves in the middle of a pretty big pink eye wreck, you could call it. I ended up doctoring over 30 individual calves before we finally ran in the whole bunch and mass treated them with a vaccine recommended by my vet. This particular vaccine, you were to run them through, I think it was 10 days to 2 weeks later, and give them a booster. So we got them in like the 28th of December, and then 10 days or 2 weeks later, we got them in to give them the booster. And in between that time, I had talked to the guys about CattlActive, and they said, you should really do this on the second dose. So I did. I got some CattlActive. I used it when we gave the second dose of that pink eye vaccine. Those calves cleared right up and got back to eating and drinking and looking good. You could tell they were a stressed bunch, just having had all that pink eye in there. So when the spring rolled around, they recommended, why don't I go ahead and give them another 10 cc's before I turn them out? And I always run them through and pour them anyway with dewormer. So we dewormed them, and I gave them another drench and sent them on their way out to pasture for another few months. And we gathered them up in August, brought them in, and that very same bunch of calves that had been through that big wreck ended up weighing 50 pounds more than any other bunch of yearling steers that I had sold up until that point. So that was pretty exciting, and that really kind of had me interested as far as overall health. So I started using it in the spring and in the fall. The main thing that I can notice with CattlActive every time I use it is cattle start to eat and drink that otherwise wouldn't. Even when I use it in that branding dose, you can see those calves, they don't lay around sore for a few days. There's none of those days where those calves aren't sucking from their mom just because they're kind of sore from the shots, sore from the handling, sore from being roped, and just stressed out. I really like being able to see it help animals eat and drink. That's where it really pays off for me.
Thank you for watching CattlActive on our YouTube network. If you want more information, please check out one of the videos to the right, or check us out on Facebook.